Hi everyone, I'm Anna Kawatski-Klein, and today I'm gonna teach you guys how to crochet. Just some simple things on just the basics. It's really simple and just about anybody can do it. So we're gonna get into it. Here, maybe you can see it a little better. Why I'm qualified to do this, I've been crocheting since 2020, so it's going on 6 years now. Since 2020, I've worked on various projects and continually have worked on a project throughout the 6 years. I've made several blankets, a couple scarves, all that good stuff. Why I think people should learn to crochet is because it's fairly inexpensive. The yarn doesn't add up pretty quickly, and the hooks and everything that you don't really need all that fancy stuff that they sell. You basically only need a hook and some yarn, and you can get by pretty easily. With the price of everything going up, it's also nice to learn how to make things on your own, like sewing, crocheting, knitting, all that good stuff is just good to have that knowledge in general. And it's nice to be able to make it your own. You feel like you achieved something by doing it, which is really nice. And it makes a good gift for your family members too. So moving on, getting started, you're gonna look at blanket versus fabric yarn. So what I have right here, this would be considered, I would use this for like a scarf or a sweater. And then I have this type of yarn, and it's thicker. You can use different types of yarn for both. Like if you want to make a thinner baby blanket, you can use thin yarn too, but you want that like strong hold, you know. They also have different types of hooks. So the hook that I use primarily is this one. It's plastic. I prefer these over metal hooks because it holds better, and it's nice, easier to grip. It has this nice little like rubber thing on it. And then they have different stitches. So there's a single, double, half double, even more. And there's a lot of like templates if you want to learn more than just a basic blanket stitch. So getting started, as I mentioned earlier, I use a plastic hook. So for me, it's easier to use this than a metal hook because it slips more. And then what I'm using for this project is blanket yarn. It's thicker, and it's overall just easier for a demonstration because it's easier to see the stitches rather than this yarn because it kind of pills a little bit and it's hard to see. So our first step is a slip knot, and that's the basic of crochet. So as you can see, I'm doing it in these pictures, so it's so simple. You literally just pull it through and then you have it and it's done. And you can adjust it by pulling one side and it makes it smaller. And the nice thing about crochet is no matter what you do, if you mess up, you can tell and you can just pull it right out and it's gone, fixed. And the first thing that we're going to look at is how to start your crochet. You're always going to start with a chain. So your chain starts with the slip knot, the classic slip. And then your first chain, what you're going to do is you're going to take that hole that you made, your little loop, and you're going to thread your hook through it. And then you're going to wrap, so you put it around, you wrap, and then you pull through, and that's your first chain. And then you just do that for however long you want your blanket to be, or whatever you're making, and that's the basis of it. So you do however long, and that sets it up for the rest of it. So next is a single crochet. You always want to start your blanket with a single crochet no matter what you want to do, no matter if you want to do a double, half, double, single, then a double, whatever you want to do, always start with a single because it gives like a clear base and it doesn't really mess anything up. It lines it up, and single crochets are they're a super reliable stitch. As seen earlier, they're really compact and they're little, so it's kind of annoying to do, but they're really nice and easy. So to do that, all you gotta do is you gotta take your chain and then you gotta find the edge. And so once you find that edge, you have to find a little hole, so there should be like a little hole in there, and then you're gonna poke, as seen in the pictures, your hook through, and then you wrap the yarn around like so, and then you pull it through, and that's a single stitch. Super simple, it's not that hard, and I think it's pretty easy. So, and then continuing with that, once you have those 2 loops around your crochet hook, then you're gonna pull that first one on the hook through over here, and then you're just left with 1, and then you're done, which is really nice. So this is just the process of it, and you can see that it's decently easy, and it's once you get with it, maybe 3 seconds, and it's really nice to do when you have it, and you can just do it. Once you get good, you can just do it while doing anything. You can watch TV, you can read a book. It's pretty easy, and that's really nice because it's something that you can just mindlessly do and get stuff done. So this is 1 pass of my single crochet over my chain's on the bottom, and then that single crochet is on the top. And you see that ridge that it makes at the top? That's going to be used for the next crochet that you make on top of that. That'll be mentioned in a little bit. But once you get done with that whole row of your single crochet, to end that row, it's very similar to the single crochet, and it's like the chain and the single crochet match into one. So you take that loop that you made, and then you're gonna wrap your yarn around and just pull it through, and then you have 1 chain link. It's the same as a chain link, and then you ended your row. And then you flip the thing around, your crochet around, and then you can keep going. It's super easy. It gets a little hard because sometimes you can forget how many stitches you make, which is good when you can count how many chain links you have, so you know how many you're supposed to be making, so it doesn't get wider or smaller. That's a common issue. And then the next thing that we're going to look at is a double crochet. This is it's larger than the single crochet, but it's still the same concept. You're gonna look for that ridge that we made with the single crochet, and that ridge on the top, it looks like a pair of lips, so we call it the lips. And then what we're gonna do with that is, first we didn't do this in the single crochet, but we wrap the yarn around the hook in the first, before we put it through the lips, and then after we put it through the lips, we wrap it again, and then we pull it all through. And then we have 3 loops on our hook. And then once we have 3, we're gonna wrap the yarn around again and pull it through, and then we should only have 2, and then we're gonna wrap it again, and then we're gonna have 3. And then once we pull it all through, and then you'll just have the 1 again, and that's what it should look like for a double crochet. And that's just a basic overview on what I do. It's pretty simple. That blanket that I showed earlier was, the one on top was a single, the gray one, and then the one on the bottom was the double. And it's a lot larger, but it has more holes in it, so it depends on what you want. But I hope you all can take away some knowledge from this, and I hope you all enjoy. Thank you.